Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Rewind That. It's your girl, Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about the season finale of House of the Dragon, Season 1, episode number 10 called The Black Queen. Alright guys, in this episode, it starts off with Luke and he's telling his mom that he does not want the Driftmark throne, which we've already heard him say during Lena's funeral. So he's sticking to it, guys. He feels like he cannot fill the shoes of the sea snake if he dies or when he dies. And it's just not for him. Like, I'm not perfect like you, Mom. And she lets him know, boy, I am nowhere near perfect. And we all know this, don't we, guys? But anyway, Luke also expresses that he gets seasick. So how the heck is he going to be able to be like this great Lord of the Sea and stuff like that? All right, so in this episode, we also see that Rhaenys brings news that the king is dead, and the crown has been usurped by Aegon, and he has been crowned for everyone to see. Okay, so Rhaenyra goes into labor after hearing the news, and it's definitely a premature situation, guys. So while Rhaenyra is struggling through her labor, Daemon has already sprung into action and is ready to declare war. And he hasn't even consulted with Rhaenyra about anything. He's just taking action, okay? We do see throughout this episode that there is some type of battle of wills, I guess, and some type of power struggle between Rhaenyra and Daemon, even though the words aren't really spoken as much, but it's more like looks, and it's also more like you hear what she's saying, which is against what he's saying, and vice versa, okay? Now, while Rhaenyra is still struggling in labor, she has Rhaenys call for her sons Viserys and Lucerys. So they go to her and she tells them that Viserys is dead, the throne has been usurped. She also tells Jace that whatever claim she has left, he is her heir. So don't let nothing go on without my say-so. So Jace goes to let his uncle stepdaddy know that Rhaenyra doesn't want anything done right now because he is making plans for war, okay? But Daemon is not trying to hear it. He pretty much ignores Jace, and Jace is like, did you hear me? And he's just like still continuing on, right? Daemon has the maester still send his ravens. Then he takes Jace outside because he says he wants to teach him about loyalty. So when they get outside, Daemon threatens two guards by telling them to swear fealty to Rhaenyra or burn. He got Caraxes hanging over them like ready to just rain fire on them because he's telling them if he finds out later that they turned cloaks, he will make sure that they die screaming, because right now, if you say you're not going to pledge fealty, you can die quickly, But it's just, I don't know, that's not really the greatest way to make somebody swear fealty, because they could just do it under duress, you know what I'm saying? Like, or out of fear. It's not that great. Anyway, so back to Rhaenyra, who is still struggling with her labor. She is clearly in a lot of pain, guys, all right? But she refuses for the midwives to help her, okay? She's trying to do this all by herself, and eventually she pushes and pulls the baby out all by herself, okay? Unfortunately, the baby is a stillborn, and Rhaenyra is the one who wraps her body up and prepares it to be burned, okay? Later on, Sir Eric arrives during the baby's funeral and brings Viserys' crown to Rhaenyra. He kneels and pledges his fealty to her, and it was a pretty dope moment. So Daemon takes the crown and he crowns Rhaenyra and announces her queen of the Seven Kingdoms and all that good stuff. As Robert Baratheon would say, titles. Anyway, everyone who is witnessing this kneels except for Rhaenys, okay? So now they go inside and they light up the table, and it's time to discuss how to take back the throne. While everyone is speaking war, Rhaenyra is trying to avoid war. And more importantly, she wants to know who their allies are. Like, why go into war? We might not even need to go into war right now. Let's see who's on our side, right? But Daemon, he runs out of patience, and he pretty much throws a fit and asks Rhaenyra what the heck she's gonna do about these traitors who took her throne, So instead of answering Daemon in front of everyone, she tells them to clear the room. And that's when Rhaenyra tries to share A Song of Ice and Fire dream with Daemon, but she wasn't really sharing it with him. She thought that he already knew about it, but Viserys never told him. So instead of being normal about it, he gets pissed and grabs her by her neck and tells her that the throne was won by dragons, not by dreams, and all this stuff. Something like that, he said, right? And I do gotta say that I was not feeling Daemon in this episode, guys. I understand him wanting to spring into action, and he feels like they killed his brother and stole his wife's throne, but it's not his place to make any of these decisions. Plus, he should have been more supportive of Rhaenyra, especially after they both just lost a child and he lost his brother and she lost her father. Like, it's a lot, you know? I mean, we hardly got any emotion from Daemon with the situation with the baby. But it was just way too much going on for Rhaenyra in this episode, like I said, and it should have been too much for her to take, but instead she kept a level head, all right? And her level head is what won Rhaenys over, okay? Because Rhaenys was just observing the whole time, and she was just watching everybody else kneel and take commands and all of this stuff. And even when Daemon was talking about how they got more dragons than the Greens, he names Meleys, and Rhaenys tilted her head like, oh, do we now? Like, I never said that my dragon was going to be helping you out in any freaking way. All right, but anyway, like I said, Rhaenys was observing the whole time, and at this point, she definitely liked what she saw. She saw a different side of Rhaenyra and a side that she never knew was there, you know? But before I finish talking about Rhaenys, I don't want to forget about Otto coming to Dragonstone with some terms, and I also quickly want to go back to the situation with Daemon choking up Rhaenyra. I just thought that reaction was so ridiculous and immature. As far as Viserys never telling him about the dream of A Song of Ice and Fire, I think it was because he was still hopeful that he was going to have a son as his heir and not his brother. You know, his brother as his heir was that if everything else fails, if he never gets a son, then it goes to Daemon. So I think it wasn't that Viserys was trying to be funny about it. I think it was that he was being hopeful that he was eventually going to get a son. All right, now back to Otto coming to Dragonstone with these ridiculous terms, okay? So obviously he wanted Rhaenyra to bend the knee to Aegon, and he told her that she could continue to be the princess of Dragonstone and that her trueborn sons with Daemon will inherit the titles. These terms are an insult on top of an insult, because not only did the Greens take the throne and disregard Viserys' wishes, they want Rhaenyra to bend the knee. So Rhaenyra calls Otto a traitor and rips his hand pin off of him, and she throws it over the bridge. Then Otto hands her a ripped page from a book that she ripped herself years ago, right? This was around the time when her and Alicent were reading in the Godswood. Rhaenyra had ripped that page out and gave it to Alicent and said, "So you'll remember." So now Alicent has her father bring this same ripped page to Rhaenyra in hopes that she will pull on her heartstrings and remember that they were once friends. And I'm like, oh, sure, you screw her over to get your way, and now you want to remind her that y'all used to be friends. Like, are you kidding me? Anyway, this little plan looked like it was working on Rhaenyra because she seemed to be thinking about it. But Daemon was like, enough of this. Sir Eric, bring Otto to me, you know? And Cyrex was making noise like, word, what's up? Everybody was ready for war but Rhaenyra. And she tells everyone to stop all the nonsense, and she lets Otto know that she'll be in touch with her decision. So now let's get back to Rhaenys, who is now sitting in a room watching Corlys, who still hasn't woken up. But suddenly he does wake up, and she lets him know that he abandoned her when she needed him the most. They just lost both their children, and he just up and left her, okay? And he was definitely on some selfish stuff, right? Like, she really kind of reminded me that was really some bull that he did. I mean, I didn't think it was good for him to abandon his wife for 6 years already, but I forgot that he did it at the worst time when they just lost both their children. You know what I mean? So anyway, he apologizes and gives his excuses. And then Rhaenys also tells Corlys that his brother is dead, and so is the king. So after she gets him up to speed, he decides to come around to how she was feeling about Rhaenyra, which was not in favor of her, okay? Rhaenys was not feeling Rhaenyra before all of this, and she wanted Corlys to see her side. But ambition made him ignore everything. So this time, he's like, baby, you right. That girl has destroyed everything for us. But to his surprise, Rhaenys was like, no, that girl is trying to hold the realm together while everyone is counseling her to go to war. So now Corlys gets up and he joins the Black Council, and everyone is happy to see him. He then tells Rhaenyra that she has his full support, and he also lets Rhaenyra know that he now has complete control of the stepstones in the Triarchy, and they can control all ships coming in or out. So I'm thinking this might mean that he can like cut off the flow of the ships going to King's Landing as well. I'm not sure though, but anyway. So now they start to make their plans to see which houses will pledge fealty. And Rhaenys finally lets Rhaenyra know that she will use Meleys to scope out one of the areas. Also, they decide to send ravens to the lords of these houses, but the kids speak up and they say that they are dragon riders and they should be sent. Jace was like, send us. And it really reminded me of how that time when Daemon had taken little Balon, right, the little brother's egg. And when they were about to go, visit him on Dragonstone and everything, Rhaenyra was like, you have dragon riders, send us. So it was just very reminiscent of that moment. Anyway, so they decide that they're going to send the kids instead of the ravens because dragons are faster. They'll get there faster, plus they're more intimidating, all right? So Jace is assigned to go to the Vale, Winterfell, and some other place, right? And Luke has the shorter ride to Storm's End. So Rhaenyra makes them swear that they will go on these errands as messengers and not warriors. So they swear, and then they leave her. Unfortunately, guys, this will be the last time that she sees one of her sons, and you can kind of see it the way they had the scene played out, how she kind of was more doting over Luke a little bit, I mean, yeah, he's the younger one and everything, and she was just like holding his hand and things like that. It was sad because I already knew what was going to happen, so it was like, oh gosh, like this is not cool. So anyway, right, when Luke gets to Storm's End, he sees Vhagar's huge self. She's there too, and I'm sorry guys, but at this point I would have been like, this is a sign that I need to go. Okay, sorry mom, time to leave. I'll let you know what happened. Vhagar was there, and that means Aemon was there too, okay? We're gonna have to do this another day. But Luke, he carried on, and he went inside to see Lord Boros, who is obviously a bastard, guys, okay? Because this dude had brown hair, not black, all right? Baratheons are supposed to have black hair, okay? The seed is strong, remember? So please stop casting people with brown hair to play Baratheons. Anyway, Luke gets inside. He gives the message to Lord Boros, but he also sees that Aemon is there. So after Lord Boros was like, I don't need to remember no oath my father made. You should have came here with an offer like your uncle did. So Boros sends Luke on his way, but Aemon wants him to stop in his tracks because he's feeling vengeful, and after all this time, he wants an eye for an eye. So never mind that back in the day, he was like, don't worry, mother, I may have lost an eye, but I gained a dragon. Like, I thought you chalked it up to that. Why the heck is you trying to make this little boy take out his eye? Anyway, so he tells Luke to take out his own eye. Luke was like, I'm only here as a messenger, not a warrior. So Boros was like, enough of that. Y'all not about to do this in my halls, okay? Let the boy leave. So Luke leaves, but unfortunately, Aemon goes after him, and he pretty much taunts Luke and Arax in the sky. So much so that Arax's little behind felt the need to defend himself and rain fire. But Vhagar was not happy about that, and just when the sky seems clear of Vhagar and Aemon, Vhagar came out of nowhere, and she was like, the heck with rain and fire, I'm about to have me some lunch, okay? And she takes a bite out of Arax and Luke, I guess, because I sure didn't see him anymore. All I saw was Arax's body in two pieces and just like falling from the sky, like falling down. And Aemon looked kind of remorseful about it, because he did try to control Vhagar. He kept telling her to obey, but she was too pissed. We all know that she's a old and very hot-tempered dragon, So now Luke is dead, guys, and we see Daemon coming to tell Rhaenyra, and that's when we see her turn around with a look on her face that said, it's on now. And that's how the finale ended. All right. One thing I also forgot to mention, guys, was that Daemon was singing to Vermithor in this episode, and we saw that Vermithor is a very big, that used to be King Jaehaerys's dragon, all right? But besides all that, I wasn't very satisfied with this episode because I thought it was a bit lackluster for a season finale, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. It was a good episode, but for me, it wasn't season finale material. Like, these are my first thoughts. But then I had to remember that this is kind of like the blessing and the curse of reading the book, because you know what happens, and especially those big events. Like, they can't really turn them big events like that. They could take small liberties and change things, but when it comes to these big events, like, there was nothing that they could really change about the situation when it comes to the book, to the show. So I knew about this whole situation with Aemon and Luke, and so I guess that's the reason why it just didn't feel like season finale material. But it is, because if I never read the books, this would have definitely been season finale material. So I can't say that, you know, I'm just giving y'all my opinion because, like I said, I already knew what was going to happen. But it was a good episode, and it's just a daggone shame that we're going to have to wait probably 2 freaking years, maybe a year or 2, I don't know, before we continue on with the story, you know. They did change the situation a little bit from the book, because Aemon was really going after Luke. Like, it said nothing about him trying to control Vhagar or anything like that. So, hey, I kind of like that little change, though, where they show him being like a little remorseful, like, oh shoot, like, I didn't mean for this to happen. But it's like, ain't no time to play no games like this. Like, you guys are warring in your families. So that's why I was like, really? But anyway, guys, that's the video for today. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, you guys take care and be blessed. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.